Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Sunday Night Football. And boy, oh boy, do we have a gem on our hands. The Miami Dolphins head north to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. This one promptly kicks off at 8:20 p.m., and it is going to be jam-packed with points and yardage and everything in between. Before I get into all that and all the over-under stuff, which is at a high, it's at 52.5 points. And we're going to see every bit of that. Before I get into all that, make sure you just go to the website at Fantasy Six Pack on Twitter or fantasysixpack.net, and you can look around and you can pick out what premium package works best for you. The cheapest option is $9.99 a month, and that affords you access to the Discord and some of the secret locked channels where we're always talking lineup building, or if you got redraft questions, ranking questions. This website, Fantasy Six Pack, has some of the most decorated fantasy football, fantasy baseball, whatever fantasy sport you're playing, some of the most decorated rankers in the business. And now, with Dave Eddy, me, and Keith Fleming around, we got DFS locked down here at Fantasy Six Pack. So don't be afraid to go in the Discord and shout out Beastie or Dave or use my name. Maybe you'll get a discount. I don't know. We'll have to talk to Joe or Keith Lott behind the scenes about that one. But until then, make sure you get to fantasysixpack.net and sign up for a premium package. It's one of the best things you can do, seeing how we're nearing the end of week 7 of the NFL already. All right, enough with the nonsense. Let's talk about football. As I said, this one Sunday night, Carrie Underwood's going to sing. We've been waiting all day. I know I have, after what has transpired during the day today, Sunday. Not to, the 1 o'clock game was not very. The 1 o'clock games were not very kind to me as a Lions fan. But I have to put all that nonsense aside, and we're going to talk Miami at Philadelphia. Both teams are 5-1. Both teams have studs at every position. Tua versus Hurts, Mostert versus Swift. I mean, there is a lot going on. A.J. Brown against Tyreek Hill. A lot to discuss, and we're going to keep it around 10 to 11 minutes, and I promise you that. So let's start off with Tua briefly at Philly. Right now, Philly 23rd overall against opposing quarterbacks. Tua 15.5 on FanDuel, 10.6 on DK, $33 on Yahoo. I have Tua 24 to 25 completions. Around, I was going to say 300 plus, but I feel comfortable saying like 310 to 315 total passing yards and 2 touchdowns in the air. You're looking at 3 to 4 carries for another 10 yards, and we'll go from there. As it stands right now, Tua has over 1,800 total passing yards and 14 touchdowns this season. So Tua is a very nice move today in DFS spots. When we look at Jalen Hurts playing Miami, they're 25th overall against opposing quarterbacks, and right now Hurts $17,000 on FanDuel, 11.4 on DK, $38 on Yahoo. 24 to 25 completions, 300 yards. I think he's accountable for a touchdown in the air, maybe 2, and then another touchdown on the ground, in addition to 40, maybe 50 yards on the ground on like 9 or 10 carries. So to me, Hurts very much in play in the MVP captain spot in cash contests. If you're playing GPPs, I think I would find another option, and we'll get to that. And I know people call me crazy for not wanting to use quarterbacks in MVP captain spots, but in single game slates, we have to get really weird off the map, and Tua and Hurts are going to be studs, but everybody on earth knows that. So it would be a wash in a way to put Tua or Jalen in the MVP captain spot. Not totally against it. I just like to go in a different direction. When we look at the running backs here, it's got to be Raheem Mostert, and to be fair, realistically, that's the only way that I'm looking. I know Jeff Wilson Jr. is back off the IR, and that is fantastic, but they're going to ease him back in. 6-7 carries, maybe a reception or 2, but nothing crazy. And Salvin Ahmed, 4 to 5 carries, 15 yards, a reception or 2, nothing crazy. Raheem Mostert is where you're going to want to be. So far this dude's got 11 total touchdowns on the year, 9 on the ground, and 2 in the air. So why fade a good thing? And when you look at Philly, they're very good against opposing running backs, second actually. But when you look at Mostert, $14,000 on FanDuel, 9.8 on DK, 27 total on Yahoo, 14 to 15 carries, 70 to 75 yards. He will find the end zone on the ground, and I have him 3 to 4 carries for another 30 yards. So to be fair, 100 all-purpose yards we're going to be right in that realm. But to me, in this game, I think Mostert well over 100 all-purpose yards, and I even think I've already put it in. 2 or more touchdowns will be scored by Mostert in this one. So for all you, sportsbook slappies, put in Mostert 2+ touchdowns, and then run it back with Swift to score a touchdown as well, which I'll get to next. Miami, 18th overall against opposing running backs, and Swift, so far so good. Now, I'm not going to use the I word. I'm not going to say anything crazy like that. Swift has looked phenomenal, and when we get to his price tag, it's reasonable, to be fair. $12,000 on FanDuel, $8,000 on DraftKings, $25 on Yahoo. 12 to 13 carries, around 55 to 60 yards, 4 to 5 receptions, another 30 yards, and he will find the end zone. The only issue is for DFS purposes, it doesn't matter. He finds the end zone on the ground, in the air, it doesn't matter. But if we're going to be betting on things, I would bet Swift finds the end zone on a reception. Let's see. You could see I was in the air about that one, but lock in Mostert, two or more touchdowns, and then give Swift an anytime touchdown, and it doesn't matter how he scores it. When you look at Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, not much going on there. I would look at Kenny Gainwell. He is a nice change of pace kind of guy, and God forbid something happens to Swift, in middle of the game, he needs a breather, he needs a break. Kenny Gainwell can carry the load when given the chance. He is 7.5 on FanDuel, 3.8 on DK, only $13 on Yahoo, 6 to 7 carries, 25 to 30 yards, and I think Kenny Gainwell catches a couple passes for about 10 to 15 yards. It's not a Boston Scott game. So what we know when it will be and when it won't be, and this is not a Boston Scott game. When we look at the wide receivers, most single game slate videos I've done so far have been all about the wide receivers, and as much as I love Mostert and Swift, Hill and Waddle and AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, those are that means more to me in this game than anything. And are we gonna get Chase Claypool active in this game for Miami? Are we gonna get Julio Jones active in this game for Philadelphia? Who knows? It's like we're in a time machine here with Julio Jones. But let's start with Tyreek Hill at Philly. Who cares what the DVP is? He shreds whatever defense you put in front of him. He is going to cost you a ton of dough. Tyreek Hill is more expensive. He is the second most expensive player on the slate aside from Jalen Hurts on FanDuel. But when you look at Tyreek Hill, you're going to get every dime every bang for your buck, every dime paid, he's going to give it back to you tenfold. I have Tyreek Hill, 11 or 12 targets, 8 to 9 carries, around 125 to 130 reception yards, and a touchdown without a doubt. Throw him in the touchdown parlay. When we look at Jalen Waddle, he will also score a touchdown. Throw him into the parlay. So far, you're like, Chris, you got like 17 guys scoring touchdowns. What's the final score going to be? Well, I'll tell you at the end, but it's well over the over-under of 52.5. When we look at Jalen Waddle, 11.5 on FanDuel, 8.6 on DK, $22 on Yahoo, 8-9 targets, 6-7 receptions, around 80 yards, and he will catch a touchdown pass. Braxton Berrios, nothing crazy. Cedric Wilson, Chase Claypool. I mean, unless you're playing in big multi-enter GPPs, Berrios would be my move. 2 to 3 targets, 2 to 3 receptions, 20 to 30 yards, and that's about it. When we look at the Philadelphia side of things, it's got to be about AJ Brown. Miami 21st overall against opposing wide receivers, but again, to me, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are kind of matchup proof, and that's beautiful, especially on a game like today, a night like tonight. When we look at A.J. Brown, 13-5 on FanDuel, 10 grand on DK, 31 bucks on Yahoo, 10-11 targets, 7 to 8 receptions, well over 100 yards. He's going to catch a touchdown. Set it in stone. Lock it in our parlay, and let's move on to Devonta. Devonta is 11 grand on FanDuel, 7-4 on DK, 18 bucks on Yahoo. Looking at 8 to 9 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, 75 yards, and that one right there is, will he score a touchdown? Won't he? I'm gonna leave it up to you to decide that one, because as it stands now, I've given a touchdown to everybody, and so if Devonta scores, wouldn't be a shock, wouldn't be a surprise. We can look at Olamide, Zacharias, excuse me, or however they pronounce his name. I always feel bad. I go into these videos and I look at the players, and I know that I have it down, but then when I hit record, sometimes it goes out of my mind because I got so much information going through my mind. So let's just call him Olamide Z, and we'll go from there. 2 to 3 targets, a reception or two, 20 or 30 yards. He's been a nice little addition for the Philadelphia Eagles, in a real life complementary role. DFS wise, not much going on so far. And then what are we going to do with Julio? To me, nothing. I'm going to sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's see what Julio's got left in the tank. The price tags are very cheap, so if you wanted to take a flyer on Julio, have at it. I don't think he sees much work, but hey, I've seen stranger things happen. When we get to the tight ends here, it's realistically it's Durham Smythe or it's Dallas Goedert, and between the two, I would prefer Dallas Goedert. I have Goedert 7-8 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, around 60 to 70 yards. He is 10 grand on FanDuel, 6-2 on DK, $10 even are on Yahoo. When we look at Durham Smythe here, same thing, very cheap, 7 grand on FanDuel, $1,600 on DK, only $11 on Yahoo. 2 to 3 targets, 2 to 3 receptions, and around 20 yards. The problem is with the Miami tight ends here, there's so much other action going on in terms of the other offensive skill positions. Durham Smythe is kind of just, I don't want to say Durham Smythe is just kind of there, because he is a vital component to this offense, being such a good blocking tight end. But to me, they're able to use him in other ways that make him more valuable in real life than in fantasy or in DFS. But as I said, Durham Smythe is absolutely in play tonight in single game slates. When we look at the DSTs, Dolphins, Eagles, given my final score, and again, I've always said this, I don't care if the final score is 99 to 100. It's all about sacks, interceptions, fumble recoveries, things along those lines. I have the Dolphins for an extra sack or two over the Eagles, so I would prefer the Dolphins DST. I have them at around 3, maybe 4 sacks and an interception and maybe a fumble recovery. What if they give the ball to Boston Scott? Boston Scott, 1 or 2 carries and he fumbles one of them, or Swift or Gainwell. I'm not, no ill will. I'm not wishing that upon anybody, but I do see a fumble recovery in the Dolphins' future here tonight. When we look at the kickers, Jake Elliott or Sanders, it's going to be all about Sanders just because of the potential point output. 4 for 4 extra points, 2 for 2 field goals, something along those lines. So give me Elliott, 9 grand on FanDuel, 5-2 on DK. Let me give you some recent betting trends, give you the final score, and we will get the heck out of here. When we look at this thing, Philadelphia 5-4-1 against the spread their last 10 games. Philadelphia 2-3-1 against the spread their last 6 games at home. Miami, though, 8-2 against the spread their last 10 games. Miami 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games on the road. So, Chris, what are we doing? What's the final score? Give me the Miami Dolphins to win this one in Philadelphia in what is going to be an outstanding, awesome game, especially on Sunday night. I will stay up late. I don't care to watch this game. I have Miami winning this one 31-24, so a difference of 7 points. It's going to be decided by a touchdown. I could see a case to be made here where Philadelphia is driving late in this game. It's under 2 minutes. The timeouts are flowing and things are going crazy. In the last minute, Philadelphia is driving, but they fall short. Is that when Hurts throws an interception and ends this thing? I don't know, but give me Miami to win this one 31-24. Be good, be safe, and I will see you again for Monday Night Football, and this is going to be a phenomenal thing, and I'll tell you why really quick. If you got another minute, I got a sticky note here, and I'd like to read you some of this stuff here. Miami leads the NFL in scoring. They're scoring 37.2 points a game, yet they're also allowing 26 points a game. The Philadelphia Eagles, they're scoring 25.8 points a game, but they're also giving up 20.7 points a game. So the last time Philly played, it was down to the wire. They won in overtime against Washington. When you look at Hurts and Tua, two of the best young quarterbacks in football, we are in for a very good football game. So sit back, relax, get the popcorn, get the wings, whatever you're into. Miami wins this one 31-24, and I will see you again soon for Monday Night Football. Until then, be good and be safe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.